Everything lost in one syringe. Z. Serafina, Addictions Family Counseling, Human Services Concentration. Addiction Ruins and Controls. Six Balloons, 2018 movie, is a powerful film that portrays the emotional toll of addiction, not just on the person struggling, but on the entire family system. Katie's family dynamics with her parents is a direct reflection of what the past has molded and what is to be continually to be expected. This movie is a raw reenactment of what really does occur in many family dynamics. A lot of times when there is an addict, such as that of Seth and the star of this movie, everyone is affected. Starting with the unraveling relationship between Katie and her parents is where I can first begin to see the etched out cry for help. She has a need to have control over her actions, but also allows her mom to walk all over her decisions. This is an all tell sign of someone who is not respected. And in the world of addictions, especially when it's a family member you love and they're the addict, this is usually where the family member that serves as the underlying scapegoat, also as the enabler. I say underlying scapegoat to foreshadow some family dynamics building in the background as the movie continues. Katie's mother is surface level support, but is also an extreme avoidance. She likes to minimize the problems, and it continually repeats a generational cycle of emotional suppressions. Katie and her mom's dynamics reflects a family system built around avoidance and care taken where love is present, but it's tangled in denial, guilt, and unspoken tension. Addiction runs and controls continue. Regardless of the drug of choice, the lack of substance bearing its ugly head to codependency is what is deadly and can create the continuous cycle of giving in when they say just this last time. Heroin. Sets relapsing again, even though treatment was utilized and successful. Physical withdrawal symptoms, defecating on himself, an emotional toll on the entire family and their subsystems. Codependency occurs when a person becomes overly involved in another's addiction, often enabling the behavior while trying to save or help them. It blurs emotional boundaries and it fosters unhealthy dynamics. Katie, played by Abby Jackson, constantly takes responsibility for her brother, Seth's heroin addiction, such as, driving him around to find treatment, making excuses, giving him money, actually putting her own life at risk by getting and scoring the drug itself, putting her own life on hold. Her actions, though motivated by love, enabled Seth to avoid the full consequences of his addiction. This reflects how codependency keeps both people trapped in the cycle. Family roles within this dynamic. Katie is considered to be the caretaker slash enabler, although I say underlying scapegoat. Seth is the addict. Mother is definitely the denier, and the daughter Ella. She's the innocent victim. As mentioned, Katie is the caretaker, so it takes responsibility for Seth's well-being, even though um, when it directly does not benefit her life and actually interrupts her life plans. Seth, the addict, or in this case, he will be classified as the patient. His functioning is a huge dictation of how the family operates as a whole system. The mother, she does not allow much growth between her and Katie's relationship due to inadequate communicational skills. This shows early on in the movie and all throughout. Ella, she is the innocent victim and she is directly exposed to the world of chaos and her father's choices of choosing drugs over her. Theoretical framework begging in question would be cognitive behavioral therapy and structural family therapy. I chose those two. There's many more that I could have connected, but in my opinion, approaching this family's dynamics in a few ways will allow me, as their psychologist, better understand them in a deeper way. And my favorite, personally, is CBT. I really practice within this theoretical framework myself. Using cognitive behavioral therapy assists in developing a richness in identifying and modifying dysfunctional thoughts. Preluding, honestly, what would be considered drowning and suffocating. So in the movie, Katie conceptualizes her relationship as being in a boat. sinking, drowning underwater. Structural family therapy focuses on family hierarchy and subsystems. This is really looking at Katie's overfunctioning versus Seth's underfunctioning. During this intervention, the main goals would be to realign family goals and reshape boundaries. Assessments that could be used, should be used, potentially was used, are DSM-5 TR criteria for OUD. This is going to essentially help in diagnosing opiate abuse. CAG aid is screening for substance abuse. Beck depression inventory is going to assess in any co-occurring disorders, mainly depression. Addiction severity index is going to help measure impacts on key life events. Either assessment tool is very important. Sometimes using a mixture of all of them, or just maybe two, will help amplify and signify what's going on with the patients. Interventions and models that could be very beneficial would be family systems intervention, CBT/MI techniques, psychoeducation, and support groups. Family systems intervention, that would look like family therapy sessions to address enmeshment and codependency, encourage open communication and shared responsibilities. This would have benefited Kate with her parents for them to understand the true issues that were occurring with Seth, their son. Certain kinds of CBT techniques such as cognitive restructuring of guilt and responsibility and motivational interviewing for relapse prevention. That would directly assist Seth. Psychoeducation is very important, such as understanding addiction as a disease, not a moral failing, setting realistic expectations for relapse and recovery. In the event, inside the movie, I believe Katie understood this problem and she was battling these specifics. And when she finally decided to end the pattern of enabling, she decided to get out the same boat. Okay. One of the support groups that I think would be very beneficial in this family dynamic would be mainly putting Seth into an NA or SMART recovery. I mean, there are other support groups that could be for family members that are going through being a part of an addict's journey. But really, I feel in this specific situation, focusing on Seth would be more beneficial for the whole family unit. Potential barriers in counseling. So this is very important because this is, of course, potential and what we want to not have. So stigma and shame, codependency. So we keep hearing codependency for a reason. It's very strong in the world of addiction. There's denial, emotional burnout, and relapse risk. So stigma and shame. Katie's parents not wanting to recognize their son's addiction as being dealt with by their daughter, Katie, is number one. They should have taken it upon themselves to offer more direction. Codependency, Katie's difficulties setting boundaries. However, with a special twist, the fact that the movie did conceptualize the idea that Katie was breaking free from the pattern of her brother's relapses was defaulting the idea of the boat sinking, which really shaped an understanding that Katie was aware of this codependency and she wanted to break from the cycle. Denial. So the mother's avoidance was a huge factor in this aspect. I am not saying that the mother was 100% unaware of Seth's addiction, no, but her lack of knowing how to deal with the severity of her son's issue is what really topped its hat off to me. And as a psychologist, this would be an area I would do more digging and investigating on how the mother reacted and handled the whole matter at hand. Emotional burnout. This alone is definitely a possibility for any and all family members when dealing with an addict, as it is always found to be everyone but the addict picking up the pieces. Katie was showing signs of this burnout, her slipping momentarily into the chapters of her mind, warning and retelling her what to be even more aware of, so she does not repeat. Relapse risk. Seth's ongoing vulnerability and fear of failure is sort of what is important to investigate. I think bringing to him I think bringing attention to him overall, not wanting to fail as a father is key. I do not think he was against his father responsibilities because it showed in the movie that once he scored his fix, he was all about his daughter Ella. This does not make me believe as a psychologist that his motives were not to be a failing father. However, I do not think Seth had the proper skills at knowing how to truly beat his addiction as mm, I don't think Seth had the proper skills at knowing how to truly beat his addiction. Um, this really does show example when uh the the fact of having to spend $5,000 to get clean and go to rehab, technically he failed and relapsed again. So that was not against going to treatment. So he wasn't against going back to treatment. So this also highlights that Seth was most likely not truly stuck in the failing aspect. But I do not believe Seth really wanted to get clean either. I am torn, half half. I think, just like many other addicts, this is their reality. It is constantly stuck between getting sober, going through withdrawal symptoms, and it being very, very harsh on them, and then getting the next hit so the body can feel better. Resources that I was able to find. So, do believe the national resources, SAMHSA, Narcotics Anonymous, Al-Anon, and Narayanon, National Institute on Drug Abuse, are all going to benefit anybody going through addictions, for sure. Here in Tampa specifically, local resources that we do have is Tampa Recovery Center, Tampa Family Counseling Services, and Tampa Community Health Department. All three of these are going to serve anybody who needs assistance. They just got to put their hand up. Here in Tampa, we have a lot of resources for addictions as well as those who struggle with their mental health. I did not include it on the actual slide, but X has great credentials. Six Balloons reveals the emotional weight of addiction within families, the invisible suffering of those who love an addict. Effective treatment requires addressing both the substance use and the family system. Recovery is not linear. It's built on compassion, boundaries, and systematic change. Addiction doesn't just happen to one person, it happens to a family.